Hey everyone and welcome. In this video we're going to be having a look at the slap in the face from the leaders of the world. This time the leader of the free world. Yes, Joe, Dementia Biden. As he said something that I think is pretty abhorrent. Now we've all seen. Money machine went brrr, didn't it, during the pandemic? And now we're seeing massive inflation across the world to the extent where now America are in recession. Now they're saying it's not recession, they're even claiming it's not recession and changing definitions in things to prove it's not recession. But it is. 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP is recession. But this is beside the point. This is a White House government release, and listen to what he says. This is in regards to inflation itself. Now this shows that the Democrats, in my honest opinion, have lost their shit.
And I do believe that we have rotten politics, and I'm not using that as an exaggeration.
Completely lost their shit. I don't think any of them have mental capacity, anything above a single cell amoeba. And this is just a prime example. Listen to this. But before you do, as he actually says in this, does that make sense to anybody, or is it just me? You ask yourself that as you listen to this.
One of the things that I find is I look at, and I take it very seriously, the confidence level of the American people in the economy, and they're so down, and they're looking. There's reason to be down, but I started thinking about it, and Brian and you and I talked about it just a little bit. You know, the first year we were able to, with the rescue plan, we were able to send them a check for $8,000. I mean, a check. One, and beyond that, by the way, there's more than that. But if you're making $120,000 and you get a check for $8,000, that's a lot of money. And so it helped save a lot of people in terms of getting thrown out of their homes and rental housing and a whole range of things. But I started thinking about it, just as somebody who's raised a middle-class kid. One year, even though you didn't have the job you have now, even though you didn't get a raise that year, the difference between having a job, having a 5% raise or whatever, 3, 5, 7, whatever it happens to be, in the face of inflation, price of the pump, although that's down every day so far, but it's like, whoa, I feel worse off. But then again, I didn't get a check for $8,000 from the government. They just, among other things. Does that make any sense to anybody, or is it just me?
So there you go. You shouldn't worry about your inflation, Americans. You shouldn't worry about everything going up in price. It's down to Putin anyway, obviously. It's got nothing to do with the money machine going brrr. That's not how inflation's caused at all. That's not why every country that tried quantitative easing, as they call it, is now struggling with inflation to the extent where we're now starting to look at recessions across the board. America's no different. So he's trying to say that you shouldn't worry about everything costing for you, your family, and all of your loved ones. You shouldn't worry about that. I gave you $8,000. Now, does anyone see that as a slap in the face like me? Because I do. And what makes it worse is the reports from the media are saying that it's likely, this $8,000 that he's talking about is likely a reference to the temporary expansion of child tax credit provided to some families in 2021, which expired this year apparently. So he's saying that everyone got an $8,000 check, and so you should be happy, when it was actually only likely. The word likely tells me that the media don't know either what this $8,000 is, but are saying it's possibly a reference to child tax credit. So only people who've got children may have received or may not have received this $8,000. And yet he's saying that everyone should be quiet for the sake of quantitative easing and be happy that some people got $8,000. Slap in the face, isn't it? This is the disconnect and the complete insanity. To try and pass off $8,000 payment as worthy of taking a hit to your economy with inflation and recession is an absolute travesty, and he should lose his position just for that alone. It was the $8,000 and the money machine going brrr that created the inflation and recession, you prat. Can blame Putin all you want. We know that's not true, don't we, folks? But let me know what you think, everyone. I'd like to know your opinion on this one. Stay safe, see you on the next one.